Hello, I'm here today to bring you another thoughts video about the Eminence in Shadow. I just recently finished it earlier this week, or earlier today I finished it. I started earlier this week. We can look at here. Yep, I started on the 2nd. I finished it today, maybe an hour before recording this. I of course you can see my score. Let's all zoom in. You can see my score. There I started, there I ended. With that being said, I this will contain spoilers for the season 1. This is also a video I'm doing, a series of videos I'm doing for preparation for season 2, and this having a second season and starting in October, I wanted to put out what I thought about it, especially it being like top 3 most anticipated at the moment. So 7 out of 10. Would I recommend this as an isekai? Yeah, yeah. I think it's on that verge of being worth the watch for most people. I think it's worth it. It has some minor flaws here and there. I find the comedy unique. I like the settings, the personality of the main character, and everything else. And all the characters around them aren't terrible either. That's usually the problem with these shows, but they're not so bad. They could use more motivation or better things to do. But would recommend 7 out of 10. And with that, I'm gonna get to spoilers of the show, for the show. Of course, we're just gonna introduce it first. The Eminence Shadow is an isekai, action, comedy, fantasy, ecchi, family, female harem. As you can see in the picture, it's not too hard to figure out. That's the main character. That's everyone else. They're not even the other main characters aren't even in there. But 143rd highest rated all time, 277 most popular. It came out October 5th, 2022, and ended February 15th, 2023. So it's basically coming out. Season 2 is basically coming out a complete year after the first season came out, which is good. It's a good show. Average score of 82, mean score 82, popularity 8,651 favorites. Some that many people think it's their favorite show, or would consider it a favorite show of theirs. As you can see, pause. You want to see all the tags for it. I'm not going to show spoilers. You can see it on watching on High Dive, Billy TV, Twitter. Goes and these are official links. But I like the show. I do. The characters are probably the best thing about the show. Being main character Sid Kage. He's I'm not gonna read the introduction for him. It's more of a he's edgy, cringe, background character. Or he wants to be a background character, even though he is the main character. His whole personality, like he's trying to be a background character. Like the Eminence and Shadow, he's gonna be in the shadows, hunt the shadows. It's cringe, like Chinibu, humor, stuff like that. I am not one for that type of like humor. Really, it tires on me real fast. I'm like funny, ha. But he's not. He's less chibi and more just edgy humor, like parody of the isekai, power fantasy genre. He's very much a he's a main character that doesn't want to be a main character, but he's the most powerful main character. Of course, that's just how it goes. Isekais usually you are the broken character. Uh, the two friends for comic relief. They're not even worth mentioning really. They're literally just for comic relief. They don't have any much story. They have a little bit of background just to make them not just actual background characters. They're forgettable though. Uh, so he's the head of this. I don't know why it's still showing it. He's head of this organization called Shadow Garden, and well, he rescues all these people. He rescues all these women, as I'm going to introduce them to you, and he saves them from the cult of Diablo. So here's the catch about all that. He's making it up on the spot. He's making everything up on the spot. He saves her. He's like, this is, I guess, like, yeah, my acting is fantastic, yada yada. Like, but here the catch is he's right about everything. Everything he says, he's right about. Like the cult of Diablo. He made that up. It's real. Uh, People getting hurt. These women being targeted for certain reasons. Made it up, but completely real. Like him, he's oblivious and not knowing about the world, but he's completely right about everything. And that's kind of like the joke. He doesn't know he's right, so he thinks it's all just make believe or play pretend along. But he is powerful. He knows that, but he doesn't. He doesn't actually run Shadow Garden as much as he started Shadow Garden. They took off with it. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, etc. There's way more, and it's very interesting that he does that. You would think it'd be he's in charge of everything, and he has a female harem, and he does to a degree, but he doesn't want it. He's just here as a background character. Head of the Shadow Garden is actually Alpha, second in command of Shadow Garden, but really she's in charge and basically calls the shots. And he's like, Shadow. Sid Kagano goes by Shadow. Shadow will do what he thinks best. Becoming the first move to be united in the organization, Shadow Guard. I'm not going to release spoilers. Cured of demon possession by Sid Kagano. And so all of them are getting possessed by demons, and Kagano can help them. Alpha is the head of it. Most of these Shadow Garden people don't have much of a personality. They have a slight here and there, but their whole thing is they love Shadow, or at least highly respect him, stuff like that, and they'll do anything for him. He's their almighty, all-knowing, like amazing leader. And they have a few scenes that just say that. Alpha's an elf. She runs it all. You see a little bit of her. Not much personality besides that. Beta has much more of a personality in the show, at least in the season 1. Alpha's the leader. Beta was the second member of Shadow Garden. You see a lot more throughout the season, not as a member of Shadow Garden, but as a writer, because they all do things in the world that it allows them to have influence in the world. And that's a really cool. They're not always near Shadow 24/7. They're almost never even close to Shadow. They do stuff with Shadow Garden of their own free will, and Sid Kagano is just whatever he wants to do, and they're like, should we, like, and the show's like, should we tell Shadow? It's like, Alpha's like, he already knows, don't worry. But he doesn't. He just does what he wants, because he doesn't know Shadow Garden's a real thing until it's already like heavily established. He might still not even know. He's never truly thought about it. He's just a background character, pretending all about all this. To his knowledge, he is at least. You see a lot more Beta as a writer. Pairs up with some main characters later on that you'll meet, or that I'll explain to you. She has much more of a personality of being blending in, pretending to be weak, popular among people. It's very interesting to see how all the Shadow Garden members are in society. We haven't seen Alpha in society, but we've seen Beta. She's just a writer. Gamma, third of the original Shadow 7. she's the director of a big Mitsugoshi company. It's a big company. Comes up with chocolate, jewelry, makeup, everything in the modern world that you would think is Gamma has come up with it because of Shadow. Okay, so yeah, I didn't forget about Beta. Beta is a writer, but all the stories she writes, it's from what Shadow tells him from his previous world, because he's reincarnated in this world. Alpha's just the first one because I don't know anything about her besides being a leader of Shadow Garden. Gamma is the leader of this Mitsugoshi company, which we see like makeup, cars, stuff like that. It was actually just made by the Mitsugoshi company. So she's basically this richest person, and but it's all for Shadow. They all give it to Sid Kagano. They all do whatever. Like if he asks for all of it, they'll probably give it to him. Whatever he wants. He has his own throne room above the Mitsugoshi's company headquarters of his own. Like he can get whatever he wants. He can ask for whatever he wants. He's the leader of the Shadow Garden. No one knows about this affiliation, of course. They're a secret organization. Delta is another member. She doesn't really have anything but in her world except for just being a really good fighter for Shadow Garden. She doesn't really do anything outside of like that. She doesn't have an influence like Beta and Gamma does. But yeah, she's probably a very skilled fighter. Gamma has no fighting ability, but Delta is the best. And then we have Epsilon. Epsilon's entertaining. The gag with her is that she's flat chested, but she uses that suit of slime that all of them have, that Sid gave to everybody, to have boobs, even though they're not actually real boobs. It just looks like they are. She's a really, that's what she is in Shadow Garden. She's a really great control for magic. Outside of Shadow Garden, she's a pianist, a piano player. She's very much because Sid Kagano Shadow knows how to play piano, and he's played it, and Epsilon has learned all that. The Moonlight Sonata is her favorite and Sid Kagano's favorite, so that she has influence outside of influence in the world through that, while also being part of Shadow Garden. There's more of them, but those are the ones those are the ones that have a speaking role at the moment. I'm sure there will meet more because there's 7 of them, and that's only 5. So we'll have more, I'm sure, but those are the ones you mainly see. More Beta, Gamma, and Epsilon more than anything. But they're not really super like motivated characters. You don't really know, like their whole personalities, like have influence, be amazing, love Shadow. That is the whole personality of Shadow Garden, and that's funny for a little while. But then you realize if the main character is not gonna have much development, because he's a junior, he's gonna, Sid Kagano is not gonna change throughout the series. He's not gonna be anything different. He's not gonna reveal himself. He's gonna be Shadow in the shadows that hunts the shadows. It's going to be that. So, but you're going to need some development on the side characters, and they kind of slowly have it. Beta more than any of the Shadow Garden, but she doesn't have development much. She's in a lot of the pieces around the main characters, and she kind of develops a little bit, less changing and more just doing things and pushing the flow of like change. I would say that needs to be one aspect improved. Though I find all of them entertaining and fun to watch, I don't really get the motivation of any of them. Sid Kagano, his motivation is just to be Shadow, so that's not going to change. That's his motivation. That's just, he's the one we see everything through, and the world's around him is what we're seeing, the world around him through his eyes, and that's how it's going to be. That's just the the Eminence and Shadow. But the side characters of those need to be a little bit improved. At the end of the season, we've seen the training area for some people, for the new recruits, which I thought was interesting. The world building of like the headquarters of the Shadow Garden was very interesting to see. I enjoyed it. Uh, that's all the members of Shadow Garden I think are really worth talking about in season 1. I hope to see more in season 2. Uh, but now we can move on to other people besides that. We have Clara Kagano, his older sister. She's the heir to the Kagano family. She's a really good swordsman. She's highly valued by the princess, who you'll meet later. Her thing is her and Sid do get along. She's actually very, like, wants to be nicer and closer to her brother. Not in any weird way, but she's just a good sister. Like, they're just good siblings. Claire is one of the few people that's probably recognized Sid is more than he appears. Because in one of the beginning of seasons, she has a fight with somebody. And they ask her, where'd you learn that? Your dad? She said, no, I learned it from my brother. Because he's always right there, one step ahead or something like that. So I thought that was really interesting, as she's never lost a fight to Sid. Because Claire is supposed to be this best swordsman of the family, like the heir to their legacy. But she kind of makes it like, if Sid ever fought me, I probably could not win. She recognizes Sid's not just a nobody that's barely able to sword fight. I thought that was really interesting. I'm amazed. I wish they would have went more into it, as like she slowly develops, like, because she'd seen that before they went to school. So this the beginning of this season is like them not at school yet, not in high school yet, or the night academy. But then later on, in a few episodes, they go to the academy. She's like a second year, and he's first. But I wish they would have went more into that, about her slowly, like, why was you not there? Like, throughout the season, she's come across and like, wait, why is this? Something's weird. Why would that be a thing? How is this? Of course, that's part of the thing of, like, at some point, you can't make it so Sid is revealed as Shadow, because that would be against, like, how the show is written and how the vibe of the show goes. It's like, it's similar to how One Punch Man is, of like, no one can know he's the strongest until the end, basically, of the series ever. And if you go and reveal it earlier, then the kind of like the comedy itself fades, because it's part of the comedy. So this is like that. So it comes across. This is a weird predicament for, like, I want Claire to be more than just the sister. They try to give her more, like, she's good enough to be like a royal family's guard, like right next to the princess, and fight with her. But at the same time, you want her to be more of on the side of Shadow, like, able to figure it out. But if Sid Kagano figures it out, and that Clara knows, then the humor's probably gonna fade. But Clara can figure it out. As long as Sid doesn't know, it won't change anything. So, like, I'd like to see that happen. Do I think it will? Not, probably not. This is one of those asks I have, like, Clara's probably gonna be one of those people that's gonna fade and be in the episode every once in a while in season 2. I like her, but she probably doesn't have too much character development to go besides just getting stronger and just being a sister. Entertaining to watch, though. Her moments with Sid are probably some of the better moments with everyone else. She's not, like, sucking up to Sid. So in one scene towards later this season, he misses a fight that she's in. Like, he's supposed to watch them. She gave him a ticket, a really good ticket, to, like, right next to the princess to watch her fight, and he wasn't there to watch her fight. We know it's because he had a fight next and he was preparing for it and, like, other stuff. But later on, she goes back. She goes to where he lives, and he jump out the window to avoid her, but she just sits there all day. And he forgets. He comes across her when he comes home, and all she does is just strangle him. Like you supposed to, you were supposed to be there. You were supposed to just angry as she could be. Like you were supposed to be there. You're supposed to watch. Like mad. I thought it was funny to see everyone kind of be nice to Sid or like love Sid. I like that Claire is not that way. I like that Claire is like you. She's a bully of a big sister, but not in a mean way. Alexa is also the other one that's refreshing to see interact with Sid. Is because she's not nice to him either. At the beginning of this, when they're getting high school, she asked him out, or he asked her out on a dare because background character stuff get rejected by the main character, yada yada. This would be what I consider a main character. That's not Sid. This is the closest thing to a main character that is not Sid Kagana, or that is not Shadow. And he asked her out. She says yes. No one didn't expect it. It's because she's trying to avoid a engagement with another man that turns out to be evil. She's mean to Sid the whole time, and Sid's mean to her back. Yada yada. Pays him in exchange. Later on, Sid complimented her on her swords fighting, which he hates. All of her problems get fixed when Shadow jumps in and deals with the evil people that kidnapped her, and she's like, "You want to?" She's like sweet for a second, like, "You want to go?" And he's like, "Nope," and she just cuts him. And ever since then, it's been very. She likes him, but they're mean to each other, picking constantly. So I think that's nice, kind of refreshing. She's the younger sister of Iris Midgar, she's a princess, and the Iris Midgar is the first princess. So of course royalty, yada yada. Alexa is through the whole season, at least. Probably going to be in season 2. Very important character. Probably the person with the most motivation in the show. She wants to get stronger, figure out Shadow Garden, protect the kingdom, stuff like that. She has some loose motivations. No single like noted goals, but like just loose motivations, which is fine. But I'd like her to have like a better, like achievable goal throughout this. If she's probably what I would consider a main character, and for her to not have a obtainable goal throughout time is kind of a weakness, I would say, of the show. Other characters you can get away with, like Shadow Guard and stuff like that, but for Alexa to have no like main like achievable goal, I think is a shortcoming. Not to say she's not entertaining to watch, but she's short training. I'm like, who's she trying to fight? Shadow? No, is she? Maybe. You don't like you. Sometimes it's like, oh, she's on the side of Shadow, and then it's like, well, who's she trying? The Cold Diablo is like the main villain that she knows, that she thinks of and like truly hates, and like that's who she's trying to fight. And maybe that's like a good goal, but like she doesn't set that goal for herself. Her goal is mainly just to Kingdom, Shadow, Cold Diablo, like loose goals, which is whatever. But that's one thing I'd like to see change. On that, she's a fine character. There's no hatred for her. She's different than the rest enough to stick out. Love interest, but not on every love interest for Sid. Sid doesn't have that same feeling back. He doesn't want to have a girlfriend or be a love interest. That's not background character stuff. That's main character, and he's a background character. What is there anything? Yeah, Alexa has her own motivation throughout the whole show. She changes a little bit. She has probably the most changes. going from hating her sister, being nice, and then getting along with her sister. Uh, Seeing the Code Diablo. Learning to trust Shadow Garden. Other things. I think it's a good job of her. That's the first love interest we meet, and she just sticks throughout the whole season. Sherry. Sherry is not a main character, but the reason that I bring her up is because she was a love interest for one arc. Her adopted dad turns out to be evil. Shadow kills her, kills him, but she doesn't see most of the fight. She only sees where he kills the bad guy, which is her adopted father. Her adopted father also killed her mother, her real mother. But Shadow made sure that Sherry wouldn't learn the truth, and just now Shadow's what Sherry wants to destroy. But she loves Sid because Sid's nice to her and gave her a box of chocolates because that was the dare with his friends. Background stuff. Expected to get rejected. Didn't. Well, did, but more in a want to be friends first kind of thing. So, at the end of that arc, it's like a 2-episode, 3-episode arc. Sherry moves away to study abroad because she's supposed to be like really smart. She's really good at artifacts, research, stuff like that. Very broad term, but she's really good at the research stuff and knowledge, and extremely smart. So it makes it up for her at the end of the season. She kind of seems at the end of that arc. She kind of seems like she wants to kill Shadow and hates Shadow Garden. By the end of the season, you have a scene. You haven't seen her all season except for that arc, and at the end, you have a scene of her wanting to like destroy Shadow. So it feels like she's going to become a villain very soon. So maybe not maybe in the upcoming season, maybe not, but she's absolutely going to be a villain, and that's what the vibe is. I think that's interesting. A villain that loves Sid but hates Shadow. Kind of all of it is now because of how the season ends, but with him basically destroying, like fighting the princess and a battle goddess, battle angel, whatever the Alexia was called, or whatever the elf fighter was called. So Sherry's interesting, but not main character really. But worth bringing up, she was in a quarter of the season, and she will be in future seasons. So her motivation's interesting. She probably has a clear-cut motivation just to kill Shadow. Achieve? No, but motivation it is. Motivation is motivation. So I'd like to see where she goes. Maybe she'll turn out to have a great arc, and maybe she won't, and just be like all this effort, since maybe she learns that her father was actually evil. Her mother was killed by her stepfather. I don't know. I don't know what they could do with her, but at least I'm looking forward to what they do, considering all the other characters are usually handled in an okay way. Rose is another love interest. She's unique in the way that she likes Shadow. She likes Shadow. That's only a spoiler for this season. It's not really a big deal if you did read it. Yeah, yep. She likes Shadow because she realizes Shadow saved her when she was young. She likes Sid a lot. Sid saved her life. So like she's one who's like loves Sid and loves Shadow. She has a lot of changing throughout the season where she's the princess of a noble Orian kingdom. She's like close to the Midgar kingdom. She ends up killing her father because of him being controlled by an evil prince that she's supposed to be married to, or an evil duke that she's supposed to be married to. She comes to Midgard to study sword art, sword skills, swordsmanship, learn swordsmanship. At the end of the season, She's on the run because she killed her father, and she doesn't know what to do. So Shadow Garden invites her to become a Alpha discovers Rose. Accused of assassinating her father, offered membership in the Shadow Garden. She becomes a new recruit at the end. That's where you get the number 666 is. That's her number in Shadow Garden. That she's a new recruit. And that's the like one of the last scene with her in the season, which is like the last episode. So I'm interested to see how that goes. I want to know if she learns that Shadow is Sid. That'd be interesting. I want to know what they're gonna do with her. She's still a fugitive. She's gonna be in the shadows forever, most likely. But what are they gonna do with the kingdom? They said they're gonna try to save it, stuff like that. It's an interesting thing for her. Her motivation is really just to save her kingdom, which is being controlled by the evil guy right now, I'm sure. She's close to her main character, I'd say. If there's gonna be like another main character, it would just be fourth, I guess. Iris is more main character. And then it'd be Rose. Rose is interesting nonetheless though. Iris Midgar, probably the third main character. Well, of the season, I'd give it to be the blonde hair girl, but Iris be another one because she's there throughout the whole season. Little side roles, not really big roles. Later on, she becomes a really big role in the last arc, or she has to fight Mundane Man, which is Shadow or Sid, and then she has to fight Shadow. A lot of politics she does. She's the leader of the Knights of the Crimson Order, which is the Knights. She's interesting. I guess she has the most clear-cut idea of what she needs to do. Usually is like defeat Shadow, expose the evil in her kingdom. Very similar to Alexia, but I wouldn't say I think they need to be distinguished more. At the beginning, Alexia was distinguished better because Iris was the better like swordsman, but now that Alexia has become better at swordsmanship, she's still known as Iris being better than her, but that's not brought up as much, so you don't really see a big difference. They seem to be sisters doing the same thing, which I get. They're gonna have some similar goals, but it feels like they don't have any distinction. You could place Sarah, or not Sarah, but you can switch Iris and Alexia in any scene, and make the exact same amount of sense. Absolutely, it would make absolutely the same amount of sense. You could do that. So I think they need to be distinguished more from each other. I'm okay with them being similar though, but it's basically picking your wife. Do you want the white hair? Do you want the red hair? That's what it feels like. They're both fine fighters. They both feel the same way about Shadow. Well, Alexia might not hate Shadow as much. Iris hates Shadow. That's about really it. The difference I can think of between them. Oh, Alexia loves Sid. Iris barely knows Sid. Gets introduced to Sid like the same episode this series ends. So like she doesn't know Sid. That's it. Like I guess that would matter, but she gets introduced and knows him. Doesn't fall in love with him like the other ones do, but give it time. I'm sure that'll be happening next season, which is okay. I don't care. Of the main girls, I like Alexia, the white hair more, because of she just seems. I like the relationship she has with with Sid much more. She's more entertaining to watch, while Iris just has better fight scenes by far. That's all the characters I think really worth talking about. I already talked about what I want to see next season, what I hope didn't change with them. The plot, yeah, episode 1. I want to talk about episode 1. Episode 1 is very different, and I was shocked by it. The whole episode is you get the standpoint of this girl that you don't know, that you think is going to be like a important part of the show. Not at all. The whole thing is, she is a student in the real world. No, not isekai yet. And she's gets kidnapped because she was once like a movie star, a model, something like that. They put out a ransom. She actually hates Sid. I forget what his name was before, but she hates him. But he ends up in the real world he's trained a lot and doing everything he can. And so he comes and saves her after seeing her get kidnapped. And you see him fight people. It's interesting. It's a good fight scene. I think episode 1 is really unique in that way. So, he wasn't just a like a neat shut in like in that world. He gets reincarnated and has the same goal of being a hero or being in the shadows as in that world. Yeah, he saves her, and it immediately goes into like, I wish I could have known him more, and then it flips to a news on the TV that Sid got hit by a truck. Truck Coon has claimed another one. And he's dead in that world. But he gets reincarnated into the fantasy world that we're in for the rest of the season. But episode 1, that's all of episode 1. I thought it was unique. I thought it was different. I would think they'd be killed before the end of the first episode, but he gets killed at the end. Him having the same motivation in that world and this world is nice. It is like a parody of the isekai kind of power fantasy. I liked it. First episode really good. Of course, and the world building needs to be a little bit better. We know we have kingdoms and like background organizations like Cult of Diablo, Shadow Garden. There's the kingdoms, and they're all looking for answers. And Shadow Garden's looking for answers for Cult Diablo. Cult Diablo's looking for immortality. King's looking for everything. Like, who is Shadow Garden? They're controlled by Cult Diablo. Some of them, some aren't. It's not straightforward. It's politics. It's intertwining. It's played loose so they can make the story whatever they want later on if they decide they like something better, I'm sure. It's not a straightforward plot. The whole thing is just Sid being a background character and Shadow Garden figuring out Cult Diablo, but you only get the standpoint from Sid and the princesses, Iris, mainly Alexia, a little bit of the blonde haired one, and a little bit of Iris. Some Beta. I think it's much more loose story wise. You just know the descendants of the savior of the world that defeated Diablo, apparently. It got cursed by demon possession, and that's how they all become parts of Shadow Garden, because Sid saves them. So that's interesting. I would say if I want anything with the plot to be improved, I want the princess to have end goals. I want the Cult Diablo and the Shadow Garden to have actual conflict. It seems like they're just dancing around each other, slowly getting at it. Like, they have episodes, but an episode or two, but there's not very much. It's not very much conflict. It's just finding out secrets, all secrets upon secrets, which is okay, but it seems to be just almost convoluted at moments of like, is this real? Is it not? Is that what they're looking like? We only get confirmation they're looking for immortality because Code Diablo literally says they're looking for immortality and they found it, but with these little things they make from demon blood or blood of the cursed by demons. But the thing is, they have to take it once a year to maintain that, and they don't. That's why they have 12 members of the rounds, because they can make 12 a year. And you can't really ask for Sid's change, because Sid's the whole point of the show is for Sid to stay who he is, the shadow, in the shadow, hunting the shadows. I don't really think anything bad about the show's plot other than that. Uh, maybe I think the show's a little too fast paced at moments. Uh, there's no exposition. It's mainly you have to just pick it up slowly through details and stuff like that. You flip from one person's perspective to another, of not really getting the whole picture sometimes, or getting like different standpoints of almost like confusion. It feels like Iris, Alexia, and Sid all think different things. So all of you flip between those three in an episode, all of a sudden it's like I don't like. Was Alexia with Alexia and Iris being so similar, you get a different standpoint all of a sudden. Like, is it who wants what? What's this one's motivation this episode? But in all honesty, it doesn't really matter because if you just flip them, it makes the same amount of sense. I'm being harsh about the show, but I'd actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I will be watching the second season. I look forward to it. With that, we can talk about animation sound. Animation could be lacking at moments, but the moments the animation is lacking are the slow moments of they're standing in line to get into Gamma's store where they sell chocolate, and you can tell in the background it's like, it's a little, but then the conversation starts. All of a sudden, it's focused more, and you can see it, and it's fine. The fight scenes are great. They do a great job on fight scenes. I have no complaints about those. Those are great. All of Sid's big moments are well animated. I enjoy the fantasy episodes where they go into a dream sequence. If you watch the show, of course you know what I mean, but they go into like a dream area because of magic. And the environments change, and I think they do a great job on those. I wish they would have had more of the background being white looked weird, because that was the point of it. But I didn't like that. It just felt more off than anything. I think they did a good job what it was, but it didn't probably matter. I can't think of any other color that would fit well, so that's probably what they felt too. Like white fits best here. You don't want to. It's a dream, like in a dream sequence. You don't want to, or in a memory, more of a memory, not a dream. Like you don't want to put it like a background. It's not gonna look good. You can't put it on a different color. It's gonna look weird. So like white probably just fits better there. But whatever. Maybe just not have the fight there then. I couldn't tell you. Because I think Sid was in the dream sequences. He didn't have a fight in the white area. He had a fight in that actual, just in that, like a memory. And that looked much better than the other fight with Alpha and Delta. But don't get me wrong, the Alpha and Delta action moments were great when they were fighting the bad guy. It's just the background itself wasn't. So that's my biggest gripe about animation, really. It's just the background looks at moments, but never the actual, what you're supposed to be focused on is bad. Yeah, I watched some episodes dubbed. I watched some episodes subbed. I mainly watched most of it subbed. And parts, like 3-4 episodes dubbed. I personally, I enjoyed both. I enjoyed the sub more because I think the voice acting was better in the last episode. The last episode had some weird moments for sounds of like them altering his voice. With the Mundane Man, it's worse for English dub because they do a good job because I think they use someone else for voice acting. Let's go look at it. Oops, that's the creator. Yeah, well, I guess they use the same person. Well, okay, but yeah. So I think it's better if they would have just. I don't think Mundane Man's voice was bad, but that you could tell it just doesn't feel. It wasn't as good as the sub. Also, the last fight in the season, where his voice gets altered to be this doing his big move like that, that felt a little off. But I think it was more sound issues, not voice acting issues. I I don't see any problems with the voice acting on either side. Mundane Man at moments, but never too much. I think that's what they tried to make it mundane. It was supposed to be just a boring, mundane man, so it's okay. Uh, Probably the best thing about this voice acting was that even though I wasn't looking at the screen at moments, don't get me wrong, I watched most of it, but if I'm going to get up and do something, if I have it in dub, I'm not going to pause it. I'll have it up loud and I can hear it if I need to go use the bathroom or fix something in the kitchen. And I could always distinguish between the characters. I could always, even if I wasn't looking at screen, I was like, I know that's Iris. I know that's Alexia. It's easier to distinguish between their voices than it is their pictures, except for the hair color. And I think that's a really great job. If I can not have to look at your screen and instantly know, like, I know what's happening. I can tell they're smiling. I can tell they're not smiling. It's all part of voice acting. I think that's a great job of the voice actors. I can only tell that with dubbed, so I think that's good. But I enjoyed sub much more. Anyway, dub is okay, sub is good, voice acting is good. Results of the show: 7 out of 10. I think the characters being more like very much their own little group is okay. It just feels very much blends together and almost hard to distinguish them because they're just so it's a female harem, and it gets overwhelming to the point like, is that epsilon? Is that beta? Wait, that's alpha, right? Wait, then they introduce people that look similar because relationships, and they're like, wait, that's not that, and it's like, if it wasn't for the hair colors themselves, it would be a lot harder for the show to distinguish their characters. But because of that, the main characters already stood out, but side characters would get blended together. 7 out of 10. Story could be better. Main characters really entertaining, but it doesn't. But the side characters don't make up for the lack of engagement and investment in the character. Sid's entertainment. The other ones are not really ripping me into the story. They're not like I care about. It wasn't to the end of the season where I cared about the blonde-haired girl. Up to then, I thought she was like, It's like, take her or leave her. Now I care, but now the season's over. You could make me care sooner, been better. I think it could be a really good show. It could at least jump up to an 8 for me if they do it right next season. I think they did a good job. It's refreshing to see the character, or it's refreshing for the anime to have these it's refreshing for the anime for have this female harem, but not for the main character to not feel the same way about them. That's nice. I like that. I like the fact that he tries to be a background character. That even though that's cringe, edgy humor, it's still different from the rest of the isekais generally. So that's good. I want to see it what I want to see change though is the end goal for a lot of main characters. Sid being different, he just wants to be a background character. That is his goal. Everyone else kind of lacks like long-term motivation. Iris probably has the best one. Well, everyone has like okay goals. Like they're like not well defined. Shadow Garden doesn't have a goal. Code Diablos has a goal. They just want immortality. Iris just wants to protect her kingdom, defeat Shadow. Alexia wants to be stronger. Shuri wants to kill Shadow. Sherry, I mean. The blonde haired girl wants to protect her kingdom. I forget her name. Shows how much investment I was until the end. Yeah, I want a better understanding of, if I were going to see something change, I want a better understanding of the relationship between the Shadow Garden and Code Diablo. I want to know, like, how is Shadow Garden grown this big? Stuff like that, yada yada. All it says is alphas recruited multiple people, multiple, like, many reasons. So it feels like it's just trying to build it up and then explain it later, but we'll have to see about that. I hope they explain more later on about the Shadow Garden and Code Diablo. What am I excited about the season 2? Season 2 launches in 2 months. Sometime in October for sure. We can look at it real fast. I have it pulled up. Eminence and Shadow is planned for October 2023, fall 2023 season. Has some VAs. I can't play it because of copyright YouTube. Or it's not VAs, but yeah, PVs, my bad. Announcement, PV. 12 episodes, second season. I don't know what to expect. As you can see, it looks like a different world. It looks like a different environment. But I don't know. Twitter hashtags. If you excited about it, tweet me at Touch Leopard. Tweet them. Say you want to see more. You can watch this on Hideout, of course. But I'm excited for the witch. The witch in the show is said to be Diablo. In the show it says that. This is not spoilers for anything else. But it's like, so I want to see that. I want him and the witch fought, not at full power at least. At least the witch wasn't. And so that was interesting to see. She's not known as by Diablo. It's just, she's known as the Witch of the Calamity. And Diablo's supposed to be something separate. But apparently the Witch of the Calamity is Diablo. The battle goddess Elf, who says her niece looks like her, and she looks like Alpha, so I'm guessing Alpha is her niece. To see how that works out. And she was able to fight Shadow with Alexia. Not Alexia. She was able to fight Shadow with Iris. That was interesting. I want to see what they do with the main characters, of course. Alexia. I want to see her get stronger. I want her to be a main character. Like, I want her to be a threat to people. Like, now she's like the weakest. She loses almost every fight. I want the blonde haired girl. Like, I want to see her in the Shadow Garden. Her perspective of Shadow Garden is probably going to be what fills that out, and I want to see that. That's what I'm excited for a lot. I want to see what Iris does in the. It seemed like the king was coming into his own, not being just a sit and wait. So Iris had a problem with his sit and wait attitude. So it might be where she makes her own, like, she was trying to make her own little organization in the capital. I want to see the villain, the love interest becoming the villain. That'd be interesting to see. But I'm sure that I'm over and Shadow Garden. I want, like, where's the other, like, we're supposed to be 7 main members, right? This first 7. We only know like 5. Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon. Those are the 5 ones I can think of. I know that we probably got slowly introduced to them anyway, but I want to give me the other 2. Give me some other ones. I want to see the other 2. Introduce all of them. I want to see all of them. Like, they're probably very entertaining, and like have them in the show is fun. So that's gonna be cool. But other than that, I don't really have anything else. I just want to see what they get to do with the show. I'm excited for the second season. I really like the show. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Very good. On the edge of being great. It just needs tweaks here and there, but maybe that's down to personal preference. And but I really enjoy it. Thank you for watching, and if I interest you in the show, make sure to watch it. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Thank you. Remember to subscribe, like, comment. Bye.